After walking from Malham village to Scaleber Force and spending about an hour here, I left Scaleber Woods and went back on High Hill Lane, just the other side of Scaleber Bridge. I continued to walk northwest along the lane, and at the corner of the lane, with the junction onto Stockdale Lane, I saw this farmer and his partner shearing sheep. I've not seen this since I was a child, when I saw it at the Royal Norfolk Show on a school trip many years ago. I'll shortly be heading up Stockdale Lane, where those two walkers are in the distance. That path will lead me to the base of Langcliffe Scar, and it's this area where I should find Victoria Cave. At the junction of High Hill Lane and Stockdale Lane, turn right onto Stockdale Lane. This path bears left up a grassy hill known as Sugarloaf Hill. It's a fairly clear path, and follow it upwards until you reach a fence. It was here, on this walk, I made my first misjudgment today. I didn't realize that the valleys between the outcrops and cracks would be quite so raised. Plus it appears that I have 3 different routes between the craggy outcrops. Which one do I take? I asked a young couple if they knew the direction towards Victoria Cave. They pointed me towards the western end of Langcliffe Scar, towards the Warrendale Knots. It looked like the valley floor was much flatter at that end on my map, which after watching YouTube videos of other people's ascents to Victoria Cave, was what my idea of the Victoria Cave ascent was. After a while, I started to doubt my judgment and location. Once over this stile, I scrambled up this grassy steep incline and asked the gentleman in the red coat for directions. There was a young lady who appeared on the cliff face. She shouted down to me to head back to my right until I reached a grey boulder pathway. I thanked them and scrambled along the hill towards the area I'd just come from. Eventually I found what I thought was the incline the young lady had mentioned, and very slowly made a slow and tedious climb towards the flattish plateau at its top. In the distance I could clearly make out Sugarloaf Hill. I had almost run out of energy, but I had the determination that I had travelled so far that I wasn't going to quit. This could be a Termire cave, and even if I walked back in the dark, I would find the caves of Jubilee and Victoria, whatever it takes. Once at the summit plateau, I walked a short distance further in and suddenly noticed, in the distance to my right, the unmistakable entrance, that is, Victoria Cave. I then looked at the ground between the cave and where I was. It doesn't look too bad, just a couple of grass fields and dry stone walls to get around. So, having a sudden burst of energy, I motored across the rolling lands to a footpath along the base of the cliff. I made my way along the path, passing Victoria Cave and going to the furthermost point of this walk, Jubilee Cave. Look at the amazing views out across the Yorkshire Dales. I've now got to the furthermost point of my walk today. I've walked, including errors, about 9 miles, but it has been so wonderful and worth it. Now I have about 5 or 6 miles to get back to Malham village and my tents. But first, I'm now heading back towards Victoria Cave. I found a steep path leading up the cliff face. And there, at the end of the path, was the entrance to Victoria Cave, just as I had seen it on YouTube. It's much bigger than you'd expect. Wow. Walking back to Malham, along the Dales Highway path, passing Stockdale Farm, and walking along part of the Pennine Bridle Way. Passing Malham Tarn, with the remains of the calamine mines in the foreground. on the summit of Pike Door Hill, at a height of 1,614 feet, looking down into the dale, and there is Malham village. And in Yorkshire, this is known as God's country. Coming down Pike Door Hill, I've never experienced such painful knees and legs, but what an amazing adventure. My second view of Malham Cove today, but from a completely different viewpoint. Now off Pike Door Hill, it's just a short walk, along farm lanes and passing old stone barns. Coming out on Cove Road, near Beck Hall. And finally back at the campsite, ready after walking for nearly 10 hours. I'm ready for a good meal and some sleep.